So what is scoliosis? Scoliosis, there's a curve in your spine or curves. It could be an S shape or a C shape. There is no known cause for scoliosis. It affects 2 to 3% of the population. There is no cure for scoliosis. There are treatments, but no cures. A treatment is that you can wear a brace. Another treatment is you can just simply have the doctors monitor to see if your scoliosis has gotten better or worse. Or you could have surgery, which is spinal fusion, where they put metal rods in your back to stop the curve from progressing. I was born with scoliosis. I didn't have treatment until I was 18. I decided to have a spinal fusion. And the reason I decided to is because I was having a really horrible pain on my right side. So I went to a doctor who sent me to a specialist. And the specialist said that I had severe scoliosis. My degrees were 167 and 147. And he explained to me that the pain I was having was because my rib cage was being pressed by my back. The surgeon explained to me that it was going to be a 2-day procedure. I was going to be in the hospital for 2 weeks recovering, and then I was going to be at home. So my surgery was going to be April 9th and April 11th. They were going to do the surgery and then let my body rest and then do it again. A spinal fusion is they cut your back open when you're laying on your stomach, and then they put metal rods into your back to try to straighten you out so your curve doesn't progress. So on April 9th, I went to the hospital with my mom, my dad, and my sister Ashley. I remember that day it was snowing really bad. I got there at 5 in the morning. I was supposed to be there by 6. So before I went to the surgery room, they brought out all these liability papers. Like, I had to sign all the risks. They had to see if I was okay accepting blood, just in case I lost a lot of blood, if I needed a blood transfusion. A risk is to be paralyzed, all that fun stuff. So I went ahead and I signed it. I was really excited because I was finally going to be straighter than I have ever been. So before the surgery, they shaved half my hair off from ear to ear just so that they can monitor my brain to make sure that I don't lose function, to make sure that I'm not paralyzed, to make sure that I can still move everything. They did the first surgery and they removed a few ribs just because they were broken. And then I took a break, and then they were trying to do the second surgery, and my body wasn't tolerating it. I got really sick. I got pneumonia, which is when your lungs have an infection. I was in the ICU for about a month. And the ICU is the intensive care unit. It's when you're really sick and you need to be monitored. It's 24/7. The rooms are really little. It's really cold in there. And so for the month of April, I don't remember anything. I was on a lot of pain medicines. I was on morphine, Dilaudid. I couldn't talk. I had a breathing tube in my mouth. I had a feeding tube in my nose. That's how I ate. I was connected to I had an IV. I had a trach here. And since I couldn't talk, I had to write. So they gave me paper and pen where I would write out what I wanted. And I couldn't do basic things for myself, like eat, walk, or talk for the whole month of April. Then again on May 8th, I had the spinal fusion. And I remember before the surgery, I wrote out to the surgeon to try to get me as straight as possible, but not paralyzed. As straight as my body can take it. And they told me I had to practice before I went in. Like, they would ask me to move my legs, so I'd have to, like, my feet actually, like, lift my leg up. So I was really excited. My degrees before my surgery were 167 and 147. In the middle of that surgery, I lost complete motor function to my left side because he had straightened me out 100%. And losing your foot motor function means you can't move anything on the left side, and it went completely numb. So he had to unstraighten me a little bit. Of course, I wasn't aware of this because I was unconscious. So when they woke me up from that surgery, they asked me to move my feet. I moved my right one, and they asked me to move my left one, and I couldn't really move it. And they asked me to lift it up, and I couldn't lift it up either. And I started crying, and I cried, and I cried, because I thought I was paralyzed. I thought I was going to be able to walk ever. And right away I regretted the surgery. Like right away I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do to myself? But he explained to me that I could move it. It was just weak, but with some physical therapy, I was going to be able to move it again. He told me what exercises I had to do, of course, while I was laying in bed, which was to lift my legs up 15 times every hour. Also, during that surgery, I lost a lot of blood, so I had a blood transfusion. To anybody who donates blood, shout out to you. Really helped save my life. The next day after my surgery, they wanted me to get up, so a physical therapist and a nurse, and I think somebody in the respiratory unit came so I can get up, and I didn't want to, and I cried. And I cried, and I cried. And also I've never worn a brace before, but they wanted me to wear a brace. So I put the brace or the corset on, and it was so tight. And I didn't like it, and I cried and I cried. And I think they saw how much I was struggling, so they let me lay back down and told me that tomorrow I was gonna have to get up and I was gonna have to walk. And I was like, yeah, just let me lay down. After the second surgery in May, so it was May 8th, I was in the ICU for 2 days. And then they moved me back to my regular room. I remember I hadn't seen myself, and finally one day I got a hold of a mirror and I freaked out because my eyebrows looked horrible and I had like a horrible mustache. So I asked my mom and my sisters to have the eyebrow lady come to the ICU and fix me up, which she did. So shout out to her. I had been in there a week prior. I think I got the exact same room too. I was on a lot of medications. I would take, I think, 11 pills a day. I was in the hospital. I didn't have any appetite. I couldn't eat. I was on a feeding tube, but to get off the feeding tube was very hard. I was so nauseous. All I did was throw up. When I went into surgery in April, I weighed 105 pounds in the hospital. After that second surgery, I was down to 90 pounds and I would just throw up. I got really sad because I hadn't been outside since April and it was so nice out there. And I would just always tell them that I wanted to go outside, and finally, one day they took me out there in a wheelchair for like 10 minutes. To be discharged or to leave the hospital, I had to be able to walk on my own and eat. And I really, really wanted to get out of the hospital. So whenever they wanted me to get up, I would. And I would get up on a walker. And I remember it was so hard. I had to learn how to walk again because I couldn't walk. I had no balance. My left leg was numb. It felt like I was wearing 4 pairs of socks. So like, to get it to move, I had to like really think and then like slowly move it. And they would let me walk around the hospital hallways, and I would get so tired after taking like 5 steps or 10 steps. And I remember I got to the point where like, oh my goodness, Stacy sat up for 20 minutes. So that was an accomplishment. I remember one time in the ICU, they would ask me my pain level, and I always said 10, a scale from 1 to 10. I was hooked up to a morphine pump. I remember one time I pushed that button like 80 times. It only came out like 4 times because it would only come out every 15 minutes. My degrees now are 47 and 67. They were 167 and 147 before. It was a really hard recovery. I think it took me a whole year to be 100% recovered. I had pain because my rib cages were broken and I had taken some out. My back really hurt. I couldn't bend my back. I couldn't twist my back. I couldn't lift anything heavier than 5 pounds for 6 months. So I had to be really careful doing anything. I believe I have 12 rods in my back. Summer, I didn't do anything. I couldn't. I would just throw up and barely eat. I would have to drink Ensures, but I wouldn't really drink them. And I went down to 82 pounds within a month of being home. I was on that walker for about a month. I had 2 physical therapists, occupational and physical therapists would come to me twice a week. The occupational therapist showed me how to take care of myself, like how to be able to shower, or like make myself something to eat, or get in and out of bed on my own without help. The physical therapist just helped me get my legs stronger. She wanted me to walk around my block one time, but I was like, girl, we are doing that here. So I'd walk around my bed and I got so tired so easily. I don't ever try to hide my scar. I wear 2 pieces, I wear tight clothes, I wear backless dresses, I wear backless tops. I am not ashamed of my scar. I have a long scar, but I don't ever try to hide it. I don't ever try to hide my scoliosis. It's pretty obvious. Now it's been 3 years. I still have back pain. My back always hurts. Some days it doesn't hurt that much. Some days it hurts so bad that getting out of bed is horrible. Sometimes I can't even sleep because the pain is so strong. Sometimes breathing hurts. There are days where I have very little pain, and those are the days I enjoy, and I try to make the best out of those days. A lot of people think surgery is cosmetic, just for your appearance, which isn't true. The surgery helps so that your back doesn't keep getting worse, but it's not a cure. There is no cure to scoliosis. My left side is still numb. My left leg is stronger, but not that strong. I can now bend, lift. I can lift more than 5 pounds now. I can bend my back and I can twist my back now. I do whatever I want to do. I've gone to amusement parks, I've gotten on roller coasters, I've gone horseback riding. I just listen to myself. I know how much pain I can tolerate, so no scoliosis case is the same. Some people say scoliosis causes no pain, and that might be true for them. I try to never limit myself or hold myself back, but at the same time, I don't ever overdo myself. My goals for the future are to have a mild case of scoliosis and to not hurt every day. Scoliosis really changed my way of thinking. It made me see that simply walking, talking, being able to get up from your bed is something a lot of people take for granted. I myself took for granted. Those 2 months that I was in the hospital and I wasn't able to talk, walk, or eat really showed me that my life was not bad. I have a good life if I'm able to do that. It really changed me. I know everybody deals with stuff. I know we all have problems. I know life is easy for no one, but I think it's all your mindset. I think if you think you can do it, you can. I remember telling myself in the hospital, like, you can walk. I know you can. Like, you can do it. You're gonna be able to breathe again. Like, you'll be able to eat. Like, you can do it. So it's all about the you can mentality, because you really can. And I made this video to help spread scoliosis awareness, just so people can know more about it. I myself knew nothing about scoliosis until I had my surgery when I was 18. They don't know the cause and there's no cure. The one thing they try to focus on is prevention. So if you know somebody that has scoliosis or you have scoliosis, the earlier you get it treated, the better your life will be.